It's our 18th year of celebrating world winners, our 30th year of celebrating winners. It's so important because, first of all, I love it. I love being here and seeing the passion and the energy. We're not talking about trade and world geopolitical events. We're talking about solving world problems. And you've got people from all over the world with the same passion to just find that social need, to find the answer to the question that's not out there. And they hire more people than generally big companies do. They grow faster than big companies do. They're trying to change the world, and it's the same optimism and energy every single year.
Look, Mark, you talk about that optimism, that energy, trying to change the world. We cannot ignore what's going on around the world. You talked about geopolitics, the trade wars, of course, going on. I mean, it's been quite a week.
It's been quite a year or so, right?
It's been quite a year, but even just this week,
true.
Mark, I mean, starting in North Korea, President Trump, Kim Jong-un, how do you think that's going to affect businesses in that area?
It's really hard. As you say, every week brings a new challenge and a different issue, and it's kind of, I refer to it as the uncertainty tax, and it's on the overall global economy. When businesses don't know what's going to happen next, it makes it harder for them to make long-term investments. That being said, it's really important to separate the signal from the noise. The general economy is very strong. Last year we saw synchronized growth all across the world, top 20 countries, first time in 20 years. We're seeing the benefits of restructuring after the downturn. We're seeing the benefits of easy money supply now providing more capital in the system. That being said, there are a lot of headwinds out there with the trade situation, with geopolitical issues. We still have nationalism out there, certainly the fear of any kind of war that could come up. So businesses are dealing with that. I think they need to stay focused, though, on their business, on the opportunity, on the disruption and transformation that's right in front of them.
But Mark, look, even just today, we've got an announcement from the US later on that they will impose over $50 billion of tariffs on Chinese products. The Chinese are already talking about retaliation. How do you navigate that?
So it's important here to really look at the tariffs are an economic issue. The longer-term relationship between China and the U.S. is more important in the world than the short-term tariffs. So what the fear is that the tit-for-tat turns into a full-blown economic trade war that could really damage global growth. That's what you got to look at. The downside is people are focused on year-to-year deficits in trade or tariffs on a particular product. That's not going to affect the overall economic growth as much as the real ability for these markets to continue to grow and co-invest in each other. Access to these China's markets really important. Protecting the technology that U.S. is trying to do in these negotiations is real important. Getting at the subsidization of industry that's been going on. Those are the longer, bigger issues that really have to come front and center, and not the tariff so much, which is a short-term issue.
But this can't be helpful.
No, obviously any uncertainty is not helpful. There's no doubt about it. And you really wish that to be sitting down at the table, walking through the issues and talking about this longer-term mutual benefit than dealing with this short-term negotiating tactic.
Talking about sitting down at the table, you have sat with President Trump. You were on the CEO Advisory Council, which has now been disbanded, of course. What was he like to work with?
So I'm a big believer that business has a responsibility to work with government. We don't have borders at a national level, and to try and help bring our expertise to the table. And so I did it with President Trump, as you said. I do it in Russia with Prime Minister Medvedev. I do it with the mayor of Shanghai, where I lead groups there too. With President Trump, it was very positive because we gave him real-time information about what we were doing, how we were creating jobs, how his policy prescriptions would affect our businesses. And I believe that dialogue is really important. I'd rather be in the room where we agree and disagree and talk about it than outside the room complaining. President Trump was very open and a verbal learner, and I've said this before, I think processed very carefully what he heard, and you could see his policy prescriptions change. I think it's dangerous that we're no longer constantly there as a group because I think he needs that input. That being said, of course, we're still working with the government one-off and working with them on different policy initiatives.
Does he listen?
Yeah, he listens. He doesn't always agree, obviously, but he definitely listens. We've seen some changes in certainly where he started to where he ended. But I've been very clear, too, there's been many areas where we haven't agreed, and at least he understands where we're coming from.
Mark, just very quickly, again today, something else. Yesterday, ECB announced the parent end to QE. How do you think that's going to affect things?
Well, I think this is a really interesting time because for so long businesses have gotten free money all around the world. That's going away. Now they're going to have to make more critical decisions. The fact that they're going to be absolutely cutting back on the bond buying but keeping interest rates low was that Goldilocks approach. It's being rewarded in the markets to some degree. I think that's a good thing. The one challenge, the U.S., we're going to see rates going up. The ECB more moderate. We're going to hear from Japan soon about what we're going to do. all the monetary systems going in different directions provides more uncertainty.
Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.